Welcome to our channel, where we delve into the abyss of human fear and unearth unsettling truths. Tonight we explore abandoned schools where echoes of forgotten laughter mingle with chilling whispers. We've collected 3 stories of these desolate institutions, each more unnerving than the last. From teenage trespassers to those confronting darkness alone, these tales will send shivers down your spine. So, lock your doors, turn off the lights, and prepare yourself for the terror that awaits you. It started, as these stories often do, with a dare. A group of friends, fueled by youthful bravado, stood outside the rusted gates of Crestfall High. It had been abandoned for years, a crumbling monument to forgotten futures. Among them was Jake, skeptical and apprehensive, but unwilling to show fear in front of his friends. They dared him to enter first, to spend 5 minutes alone in the school's darkened recesses. The air hung heavy with the smell of damp earth and decay as Jake pushed open the creaking door. The air inside was stagnant, thick with dust and the silence of ages. Each footstep echoed in the cavernous space, the only sound besides the frantic thump of Jake's own heart. The weak moonlight filtering through grime-covered windows painted long, distorted shadows that danced at the edge of his vision. He reached the main hallway, lined with lockers dented with rust and age. A faded flyer clung precariously to a corkboard, a forgotten reminder of a pep rally long past. As Jake moved deeper into the school, a cold draft sent chills down his spine. He swore he heard a faint whisper, a sigh carried on the stale air. He spun around, but found only empty hallways and the lurking shadows. His heart pounded in his chest, each thud echoing in the silence. Then a loud bang echoed from the floor above. Jake froze, his blood turning to ice. He slowly lifted his head, his gaze drawn to the dark abyss at the end of the hallway. He could have sworn he saw a figure vanish around the corner, a fleeting glimpse of something moving in the shadows. Panic welled up inside him. His 5 minutes were up. He turned to run, but the door at the end of the hallway slammed shut with a deafening boom. Jake fumbled for the handle, but it wouldn't budge. He was trapped. Another bang, this time closer, followed by the distinct sound of dragging footsteps. Jake's breath caught in his throat. He pressed himself against the wall, his eyes frantically searching the darkness. He could hear the footsteps now, slow and deliberate, coming closer. He squeezed his eyes shut, wishing he'd never agreed to the dare. Suddenly the footsteps stopped. Jake opened his eyes to find himself bathed in the cold white light of a flashlight. Old Man Hemmings had been the janitor at Blackwood Elementary for over 40 years. He knew every creak of the floorboards, every groan of the pipes, every whisper of the wind through the broken windows. He'd seen generations of children pass through Blackwood's halls, their laughter and chatter now only faint echoes in his memory. When the school shut down due to dwindling enrollment, Hemmings refused to abandon his post. He stayed on, tending to the empty building with a quiet dedication that bordered on obsession. Every night, he'd make his rounds, the flickering fluorescent lights casting long, skeletal shadows that danced with him down the empty corridors. The first sign that something was amiss was subtle. A child's drawing, bright and cheerful, left abandoned on a dusty desk in an otherwise empty classroom. Hemmings knew the school was empty, yet the drawing looked freshly made, the crayons vibrant against the aged paper. He shrugged it off as a trick of the light, his old mind playing tricks. But then, a few nights later, he heard it, the distinct high-pitched giggle of a child coming from the school's abandoned playground. He rushed outside, his heart pounding, only to find the swings swaying gently in the breeze, as if pushed by an unseen hand. Night after night, the occurrences grew stranger, more unsettling. Books would fly off shelves in the library, their pages rustling like frantic whispers. The faint sound of children singing would drift from the auditorium, though the stage was bare and the seats empty. One night, as Hemmings made his rounds, he felt a cold breath on the back of his neck. He spun around, his heart leaping into his throat, but found nothing. He was alone, yet the air hung heavy with an unseen presence. He hurried to the boiler room, his sanctuary within the school's depths. As he descended the creaking stairs, he swore he saw a fleeting glimpse of a shadowy figure dart behind a row of lockers, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Fear, cold and sharp, gripped Hemmings's heart. He'd always dismissed the whispers of Blackwood being haunted as childish superstition. Now he wasn't so sure. He continued his rounds, his hand trembling as he clutched his flashlight. Each creak of the floorboards, each sigh of the wind sent shivers down his spine. He felt watched, hunted. In the school's deserted library, he found the source of the ghostly singing. A group of spectral children, their forms shimmering and translucent, were gathered around a table, their eyes hollow and sad. Dr. Evelyn Wright, a renowned paranormal investigator, scoffed at the rumors surrounding St. Sybil's School for Girls. The grand old building, now shrouded in overgrown ivy and whispered tales of hauntings, had been the subject of countless ghost stories and amateur investigations. Evelyn, a woman of science and logic, saw it as nothing more than a challenge, an opportunity to debunk the myths and expose the truth behind the legends. Armed with her EMF reader, EVP recorder, and a healthy dose of skepticism, she stepped across the threshold of St. Sybil's, ready to confront the darkness within. The air inside was heavy, thick with the smell of dampness and decay. Cobwebs draped the ornate chandeliers, and dust lay thick on the once-polished floors. As she moved deeper into the school, Evelyn felt a distinct shift in the atmosphere, a palpable chill that sent shivers down her spine. She started her investigation in the school's chapel, a grand, echoing space with stained-glass windows depicting scenes of piety and virtue. As she set up her equipment, she noticed a faint humming sound, a low, mournful vibration that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Her EMF reader spiked, its needle swinging wildly as she approached the altar. A cold spot settled over the room, the temperature plummeting despite the stifling summer heat outside. Evelyn pressed record on her EVP recorder, her voice steady as she spoke into the silence. "Is anyone here?" she asked, her words echoing in the vast emptiness of the chapel. A moment of silence, then a soft, ethereal whisper, barely audible on the recording. Evelyn strained to hear, rewinding the tape, her pulse quickening. "Get out," the voice whispered, filled with a chilling desperation. Undeterred, Evelyn continued her investigation. She moved through the school with a methodical precision, documenting every cold spot, every EMF spike, every unexplained sound. She captured EVPs of children crying, disembodied voices whispering her name, and what sounded like heavy footsteps following her every move. In the school's library, she found a diary, its pages brittle with age. It belonged to a young girl named Sarah, a student at St. Sybil's who had died under mysterious circumstances a century earlier. The diary entries were filled with a growing sense of dread, a palpable fear of something unseen that haunted the halls of the school. As Evelyn delved deeper into Sarah's diary, she began to uncover a dark history, a tale of cruelty and abuse at the hands of the school's headmistress. It seemed the stories of hauntings were true, but these were not simply restless spirits. These were tortured souls, driven to madness and despair by the horrors they had endured. In the school's attic, she found what she believed to be the source of the paranormal activity, a hidden room, its walls scratched with frantic messages and pleas for help. It was here, Evelyn realized, that the headmistress had imprisoned and tortured those who defied her, their anguish seeping into the very fabric of the building. Evelyn, her skepticism replaced with a profound sadness, decided to help the spirits find peace. She held a séance in the chapel, her voice trembling with emotion as she spoke to the unseen. She promised to tell their story, to expose the truth of what happened at St. Sybil's. As the séance reached its climax, the air grew heavy, the room pulsating with a surge of energy. Evelyn watched in awe as the spirits of the tormented children manifested before her, their forms shimmering and translucent. They gathered around her, their eyes filled with a mixture of pain and gratitude. Then, as quickly as they had appeared, they vanished, their presence fading into the shadows. The room fell silent, the only sound the beating of Evelyn's own heart. St. Sybil's School for Girls still stood, its walls holding the memories of a dark and troubled past. But thanks to Evelyn's courage and compassion, the spirits within were finally able to find peace. So there you have it, 3 chilling tales from abandoned schools that will haunt your thoughts long after the lights go out. If you found yourself on the edge of your seat, clinging to every word, then be sure to give this video a thumbs up. We're always on the hunt for the most terrifying tales out there, so if you have a story that would make our blood run cold, share it in the comments below. Until next time, sleep tight, and remember, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that whisper to us from the shadows of abandoned places. Stay scared.